Hello and welcome to Best Fictional Friends, a brand new podcast about fictional characters and real feelings.
I'm Sarah, your best friend that you can call when you want to watch terrible Hallmark holiday movies.
I'm Casey, your best friend who will stop the world and melt with you.
And I'm your best friend with the hex work. I'll help you hex your ex and, get him good.
This is true.
Him or her will be sorry they ever messed with you. Brittany.
I could vouch for this. So could a few of my exes.
So this show, we're pretty new. This is our second podcast. We are discussing characters from movies, television shows, video games, songs, I guess we could always throw in there if we wanted. I have a lot of feelings about Jolene. But TV shows, all of that, and we are discussing if they would be good friends. We're going to talk about character arcs. We talk about traits and friendship things, and that's what the show is about. So, how are you guys doing?
I'm good. Sorry, I have a question for you guys that I've been wanting to ask, but since we're new to this whole recording thing, I didn't want to ask it off air, just in case we actually got like good content out of it.
Okay.
But
no pressure.
No pressure. No, but I was wondering how you guys have been, because all three of us are going with a really nostalgic pick. How have you guys been consuming content in the whole COVID era? Has it been different? Is that something that you have sensed a change in? Are you gearing more towards stuff from a better era?
Oh, like nostalgic?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. Honestly, not that much. I am going more for vibe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Personally, I've been going, I'm trying to find my sweet spot of something that's really actiony, but also has romance. I'm a big romantic, so I love when they're star-crossed lovers who must fight together to save the world or something like that.
This explains a lot about your pick.
This explains a lot about me, probably.
Well, that too, yeah.
But yeah, so I have been doing a lot of stuff like that. Like I just started watching a bunch of Korean dramas.
Oh, same.
That are amazing.
But I didn't
so
just
far
start
about that. I've had some in my queue for a while, but yeah, lots of wacky Korean drama.
I've been enjoying the nostalgia trip for prepping for this episode, but mostly I've been oddly wanting to read about post-apocalypse things or the worst of the worst.
You're ready to die.
Yeah, so,
you're ready for the worst. Yeah.
I don't know if it's something that's at least we're not dealing with that. I don't know what it is.
Mutant crabs attacking us.
Yeah, exactly. Not yet. Just murder hornets.
That keep coming back for some reason?
Yeah, I don't honestly know anything about them.
I keep seeing news reports every now and then pop up on Twitter or something that's murder hornets, are they back? I don't know. Are they back?
They left.
Or maybe they never left.
I just haven't been outside. It's just somebody walking outside and being oh no, murder hornets, they're back.
Well, my state's been alternatively on fire or snowing, so I've had no good in between being outside. Yeah, let's start. Okay, so today's category for best friend, we are doing best magic friend, best magical friends. So the way this goes is we pick a category, and from there we're going to try to decide who we think are the best, what traits we're looking for in that kind of friend, examples or contenders of who we think could be a potential best friend, but then each of us picks our own individual champion who we think is the best friend in this category. And hopefully no one needs a hug this time afterwards. Hopefully we can all walk away as still friends.
It was a close call last episode.
To be fair, I just needed a hug walking into the episode last time.
Yeah, maybe we can't count that.
All right, so Casey, do you want to be our rules lawyer and tell us what the category definition is today?
Yes, and for the record, I've never gone to law school or taken the bar, but I can defend you in a court of law. Webster's Dictionary defines magic as the use of means such as charms or spells believed to have supernatural power over natural forces. We took this definition and got even more specific with it. This week we are focusing on spell casters as opposed to those with just supernatural powers. So think Merlin from history or the show Merlin, rather than the X-Men or She-Ra. For example, when Jean Grey's powers can influence the world and are definitely supernatural, it's not due to spell work, but rather a power and ability, aka the mutant X gene. There are several casters, however, that we are not including this week. Sarah?
So we definitely kicked up the difficulty a little bit and excluded some of our favorite casters. So we were not allowed to pick anyone from Harry Potter, from the entire Harry Potter series universe, or from the Lord of the Rings. This is not because we didn't want to debate the merits of those characters, because obviously we do, but rather that we think there's so much to discuss that we're planning on doing an entire episode for each of those specific series. So as far as traits that we're looking for a best friend in this category, I want magical. Obviously. I want big, fun magic. Like, I want to be able to do a lot of fun things. And obviously to use those for, like, not just, like, saving the world or whatever, but, like, for fun.
Okay, yeah. You want frivolous magic. You want...
Yeah, I'm feeling fun this week.
Doing it on whims and whimsy and
yeah,
all of that.
Exactly.
I can feel that.
I like the idea of fun magic, but I was more focused in, would I have fun with the person, and could the magic be useful in my day-to-day life? I am all for not having to save the world every day. That doesn't sound like the life I want to personally lead, but I do want to have the benefits provided by the magic have like applicable life uses, I guess.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Definitely want skills outside of magic.
That's fair.
Okay.
So that's a big one for me.
Yeah, I mean, you want them to still be well-rounded people. Because otherwise, like, if they're not a performing monkey, like, I don't want a performing monkey, I want a friend. So right. I was thinking for specific traits, like a person might have who just happens to be magical. I want them to be low key. I don't want necessarily somebody who's very flashy with it, because in my experience from media is that if you come forward and are the only magical person in this world, or you're going to be very showy, I guess, with your magic, people are going to come after you. Like, right. You're making yourself a target. The government's going to come for you, or people are going to harass you for, like, haven't you solved world hunger yet? Like,
yeah, you don't want to be tied to that person.
Yeah, like, please get some soup. No, obviously world hunger is a problem, and when we do have our Harry Potter debate, I have a lot of problems with that too, about how stingy the entire Harry Potter universe is with magic. But in this situation, if you're the only one who has magic, I want you to be really low-key, because otherwise I do think you're going to find yourself probably fighting the universe constantly. Otherwise.
And not just, like, demons or vampires. You'd be also fighting the government officials for freedom.
There's going to be black vans that just show up and try to put a bag over your head and drag you in. And in this situation, I probably, I mean them, but what about me? I'm not magical. Like, am I the one who's going to get, like, black bagged?
I assume if you picked a good enough friend that they would protect you.
Unless we're living together, I mean, and then at that point they're too clingy. So I want them to be pretty kind of low key. I also want them to be daring, though. I do want them to be able to take risks when necessary, because otherwise, what is the point if all you're doing is like, well, I want to make my tea a little bit hotter. Magic, magic, magic. Like, oh, okay, now it's sippable. Like, no.
I mean, that's also helpful, though.
It's helpful, and that's fine if that's it.
I want them to offer magic at any time.
But I also want there to be Like, it better be useful in big situations. Like,
Oh,
oh
yeah,
no,
of course.
I overslept my exam. Like, okay, we'll rewind time. That's cool. Let's do that. And then I'm fine with there being shenanigans afterwards. Like, I just assume anytime there's magic, there's going to be wild shenanigans. I'm cool with that. I feel like, again, if there's not wild shenanigans, it's not magic. It's not, or at least not in television and books or whatever. It's just, like, there better be shenanigans.
Right.
Yeah. Bravery is definitely something that I want in really, like, most of my friends, but definitely somebody who has that kind of skill. I want a sense of generosity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Even if it's not with their magic per se, but kind of like you were referencing your issues with the way that the Harry Potter universe handles having an entire community of magic users.
Yeah.
There's sometimes a lack of generosity within that community that I would want in my magic spellcaster friend.
Mm-hmm.
And also a sense of humor, because like you said, you are going to get into some wild shenanigans, and I'm going to laugh at them.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not like in the middle of fighting for our lives, but also maybe during in the middle of fighting for our lives. Like, that seems like a time I would laugh. So I want somebody who's not going to be offended by that, A, and B, who is going to be able to laugh at it when it's all said and done.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's pretty good, especially since I do think magic in most media, at least for entertainment purposes, is usually either wildly dark or is something that, oh no, it went wrong. Now we need to solve the day, or save the children. Oh no, like, my husband turned into a bat. What? And then hilarity ensues, and I you have to be able to roll with it. You're gonna have to be able to afterwards be like, well, that happened. I hope that didn't scar us all for life, and we can keep using magic. I don't know if you guys have ever seen The Magicians. I haven't read the books, but the show
I've
Magicians.
seen a little bit of it, and then I heard that there were books, and then I was like, oh, now I kind of want to read the books first. So
it's real dark. So it's like if Harry Potter, in the show they talk about the source of magic is like pain. So the source of magic is trauma for the most part. So everyone is very messed up, and very messed up things keep happening to them, like over and over and over again. So
solid metaphor for what people who go through some trauma can sometimes come out with things that seem like superpowers. But not a show I want to be watching right now, personally.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's very dark. And it's for the purposes of like a best friend. I'm not saying people with trauma couldn't be great best friends, but I also feel like the way they use magic, there, at least on that show, there's wild consequences when you mess up.
Yeah, I want fun magic.
I was not
tons of people are just, it's like, I feel like it is more realistic for how Hogwarts would work, where people like, oh yeah, we're so lucky this year we only had like 10% of the kids die. Magic's wildly dangerous and should not be used by most people because of how horrific the outcome can be. So
no safer place.
Right. Besides who you think's the best friend,
yeah,
what would be other people who fit this category? Who do you think would fit?
I kind of warned you guys that I was going to, because we don't, to the listeners at home, we tell each other who our champions are. So that way we can prepare the debate. Obviously, we don't share the points that we're going to be making, but we want to be able to prepare the debate and have a fair conversation. However, for our contenders, we don't really discuss them previous to recording. But I am going to kind of turn the tables with Bonnie Bennett from the Vampire Diaries. So while I am both very proud and confused by the fact that I read the entirety of the book series, I was going to go with a TV character. She is, the Bonnie Bennett in the books, based on my recollection, is a lot more flighty and not frivolous, because they do face pretty dark circumstances for a teenager, for a like very young adult book, but she's depicted as a little bit more frivolous than I would like, whereas the Bonnie in the TV show is a lot more serious, a lot more earnest, and just sort of advances. Her character arc is much deeper. She's reliable, understanding, funny, and would have had an even more badass character arc if it wasn't for all the damn vamps running around. Which kind of leads me to why I didn't pick her. She deserves a break, and not to be another person's wing woman. So I'm just going to say I'm passing on her because she doesn't need to be somebody else's best friend again. Because that was the entirety of her character arc, was her becoming a more self-assured person in the framework of being somebody's best friend.
Okay.
That's very nice of
So
you.
while she did develop and grow as a person, I was just like, you know what? No, I'm going to let her have this. But Bonnie Bennett is an excellent character who probably deserved a lot more screen time and development, but that is neither here nor there. If you haven't watched Vampire Diaries, but you're looking for a show that has both action and that romance, highly recommend it. I've watched the series several times.
Okay.
Only read the books series once, I will say. Have not dived back into those. And I don't think I ever will. I also then thought of Merlin from the BBC series Merlin.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, before I even started thinking about what would make him a good friend, it was just sort of about the amount of magic that he does and the adventures he goes on. But I realized that I would have to explain way too much about technology to him. And hiding a dragon would be tough on a friendship, and there's really no dungeons or basements in Florida, so I don't know.
Yeah, you'd probably have to move.
How that would work.
Yeah. Well,
Which
or you
I'm
go to
fine
Camelot.
going to the UK.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to Camelot unless Camelot has come to the 21st century.
Just bring your iPad. Right?
Oh, well,
Uh-huh.
You're fine.
work.
You'll get your Bejeweled. You'll have your Candy Crush.
Yeah, for the
That's
however many hours an iPad lasts.
Back up a ton of podcasts on it and just listen through those. You could be the founder of electricity.
Which, as far as I know, all you had to do to figure out electricity was tie a key to a kite, and then boom, you did it. But if somebody else doesn't know the physics behind that, it's just going to be like, guys, I got electrocuted. So, we're good.
Also, though, imagine having electricity in Camelot. You are going to be the one burned at the stake.
Okay.
Oh, good point. Yeah, you can't look too good there.
Going to say,
but then Merlin's
science.
there for you, right?
Yeah.
Can't Merlin help you
But
out?
then he'll be burned at the stake.
And he'll leave King Arthur to fend for himself, and that's not going to work. That pretty human being is useless without Merlin.
And then I'm pretty sure you've messed up the entire future.
Camelot's not real.
Yeah, but
what a wild ride.
You know that, right, Sarah? You wouldn't mess up our future.
You'd mess up quite a few book series.
Okay.
Oh, that's true.
That is true.
Monty Python, the Holy Grail, that's all.
Meg Cabot's Avalon High.
That's more important than messing up this timeline.
My favorite middle school book.
I have stuff all over different media. So I guess first it's new on Netflix, but it's a super old anime. It's called Cardcaptor Sakura. And it's a little girl who finds a book in her dad's library because he's an archaeologist. And when she opens it up, she unlatches it that's magically sealed, and all of these magic cards jump out and scatter across the town. And that a little magical beast of the seal comes out and tells her, well, you must be magical. You wouldn't be able to open this book if you weren't. But you kind of also ruined and sent all of these magic cards everywhere, so I need you to help me go get those because it's your fault. So she realizes that she has magic powers, and the way she casts spells is with cards. But as a person, she's just super cute. She's super cute, super nice, always looking out for her friends. Her mother died when she was 2 or something, so every morning when she wakes up, she wishes her mom a happy like, good morning, mother, even though it's just a picture of her mom. And like her dad's always working. So her and her older brother will take turns making dinner or cleaning up around the house. So she's very self-sufficient. And her best friend is a millionaire or something. And just will follow her around. Her best friend's obsessed with her, and depending on how you watch it, I guess they either emphasize or de-emphasize how her best friend is actually in love with her. But she's like completely oblivious to that. Just think like, oh, it's just my best friend. But they go on adventures and try to capture the cards that have been released, and then she has more and more magic. But overall,
so it's a little bit like Pokemon, but magic. Gotta catch
sort of, yeah. There's not as many as there are Pokemon. There's an endless supply of Pokemon, but it's just really cute. The manga of it has a lot of weird age differences, relationships. That's kind of icky. But they don't emphasize that as much in the anime. So I like the anime.
Well, that's
good. Like, but overall she's like 11.
Super glad to hear that.
She's an 11-year-old, so she's not my pick. A little too young for me. I also had Wong from Doctor Strange. I don't know if you guys.
Oh, it's been a while since I watched that. But I do remember.
He was my favorite. I just thought he was.
No, he was a very enjoyable character.
He was just like funny, had wry comments now and then, wasn't afraid for the slapstick humor. I thought he was the best one. Like, he should be the Sorcerer Supreme. I'm sorry, Doctor Strange.
Oh, I agree.
Like, your American accent throws me and I don't care for it. But it just does not sound anywhere near as natural as I feel like it should, but whatever. Should have just made him British.
I saw that movie and did not realize he was trying to do an American accent until somebody was making fun of him, and I was like, oh, so that was the accent he was trying to do? Was it me? I was like...
I could not understand.
I was like, oh, was it... I don't know, it might have been you. It was probably
you. It might have been me. So I thought he was fun. I just didn't think he had enough screen time for me to know what he would be like as an actual friend. I know he likes ice cream.
Fair.
As in the Avengers movie.
Me too.
But, yeah, who doesn't like ice cream? Let's be honest.
Yeah, if that was like one of your traits you're looking for.
Love ice cream.
Has to like ice cream. Then yeah, you'd have a lot to choose from.
I also have.
Oh, I don't know if my champion likes ice cream. I assume she does.
I mean, as long as it's not explicitly anti-ice cream, I think you're fine.
Yeah.
Then we'll be okay.
There is also a show on Netflix that's by the head writer of Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's called The Dragon Prince.
Oh, I haven't even heard of it.
The animation the first season's real rough. It's not good. It's the frame rate just feels way too slow. It's very clunky. But the writing's great. Like, the writing is still, I feel, the characters and how they interact with each other is very on par for Avatar: The Last Airbender. And one of the main characters, Callum, realizes he can use magical powers, and his character arc so far through the show is about him trying to come in contact and develop within him the ability to do magic. That's not dark magic. Dark magic is the only magic up until now that humans have been able to perform. Otherwise, humans are not magical beings. And he is like the first who is able to get in touch with the other arcanum and able to use wind magic or moon magic and other types of magic. So I like his development. He's voiced by Sokka. I don't remember that guy's name. But it's the same exact voice as Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and they have a lot of references where he like finds a boomerang, and it's just, this feels so familiar for some reason.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, I would say I think you're watching Korra right now, right? Or have you finished?
Yeah. No, season 2 is really
it's a rough one.
Slowed us down.
Yeah. can't remember if I told our mutual friend David about it or if David told me about it, but I remember we both started watching like right away. Then he got mad at me. No, I must have told him because he got mad at me that there was only one season, and how dare I introduce him to a TV show that at the time only had one season. So...
I get mad at Netflix for doing that, actually. One of the shows that I considered, or was one of the characters I considered, was Nimue from the Netflix show Cursed that just came out like this summer.
I haven't watched it yet.
But
yeah, me neither.
It's so good. But I kind of thought it's one season, you don't have a whole lot, and also talk about somebody who has to deal with a lot of shit on her shoulders. Not somebody that I would want to have to like back up in a fight.
For my contenders, I had Moog from Kings of the Wyld, which is the first book of a book series called The Band. There's only 2 books for it so far, but he's really only like emphasized in the first. Him and his friends. He's a wizard. He's hilarious. The whole book is hilarious. So like if you haven't read it, I'm already getting on Brittany and Casey.
I know.
Yeah. It's so funny, but it's basically about a band of old dudes that used to fight together and they don't anymore. It's very D&D-esque. And then they like get back together for like one last adventure. And I love Moog is kind of like
one last heist, like I'm
retiring
after this one.
And like the whole beginning is like, we got to get the band back together, like one by one. And Moog is just like so down right away. And I was like, this guy, I love him already. And the rest of the book continued, like my love for him just grew throughout the thing. So he was a close pick for me. And then also Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service. I thought about, but she's just not like magical enough.
she's
I love her.
She's developing as a witch.
I'm sure that like she's gonna get there, or has gotten there. That movie was
Well, she's
a while ago.
She's like I don't want to say an intern witch almost, but this is like her first gig, right?
Yeah, she's like a witch in training or like. Yeah, she's doing her year away from home and like learning how to be a witch in a town, and like she basically has to like pick one, and like everybody's just accepted that like witches exist except in the town she goes to, that like they haven't seen a witch for a long time and they don't really like them, and they have like a lot of rules and stuff, and like all she really does is fly, which is cool, like on her broom. Like very cool.
She's got a cat she talks to.
I love her cat. But I just needed more.
I sense a theme.
I just needed more magic. And she could really only, like, brew stuff in a cauldron and fly on a broom.
So she could cook.
I mean, potions.
Yeah, well, it was more like, I can help my mom make potions. So I was like, I don't know if that's going to be enough. Okay. You're going to have to be able to make potions on your own. I don't want to go, like, hang out with you and your mom every time. Also, she's very young. Bit too young for me.
So I'm also gonna do one that you necessarily wouldn't see this coming. I'm gonna say Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
Oh.
I think Ursula is hysterical. I think her talking to what is it, Flotsam and Jetsam or whatever she's got a great singing voice. I love her sass. I love how like a body language as she shimmies at people. I don't know. She definitely wouldn't be a best friend, but I feel like having Ursula on your side would be nice. I wouldn't mind having the sea witch on my side.
There's quite a few people I would want on my side, but
I mean, better than having her against you.
I'm shook. I don't think I've ever used that word, but I think this is the first time I've ever felt like that. I'm like, oh wait, what?
Otherwise, she doesn't really seem to have very many wants or needs, other than just like, people ask me for favors, and I have a very specific exchange I have to do. Most of the time, I don't fulfill the exchange, and then sure, I do have to rake them across the coals and turn them into weird seaweed.
I mean, she did try to make sure that they couldn't meet the terms of the deal.
Yeah,
She's quite manipulative.
And then she became a human to seduce a man in order to...
I like the initiative.
Make sure the deal couldn't be met.
No, yeah, she'd probably be a terrible
Brittany...
friend. I just think she'd be fun to be around. Like, maybe just, like, one wild night out. She's gonna go clubbing with you. You're gonna have, like... There's going to be some shenanigans for sure. She meets the shenanigans quota.
She meets the shenanigans quota.
That I'm looking for. Did either of you read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell or see the BBC series?
Mm-mm.
No, but I will because I love a good BBC series.
I really enjoyed the BBC series. The book's very long and it's historic style. What's that called? It's like written as a period piece, but it's obviously not historic.
Historical
fiction, but heavy on the fiction
I was
part.
Then, genre, but...
because it's if magic were real, this is the history.
Yeah, there
of
is
magic.
Another alternate history.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's another. There's like a term for it. I'm just not thinking of.
Yeah, so it's about the rediscovering of English magic. In England, magic hasn't really been around for like hundreds of years. They know of magic. There are many stories of magic, and there are magicians who do nothing but talk about magic. And so it's the resurgence of two magicians come forward who actually are able to cast magic. No one has even been able to perform spells in hundreds of years because they just don't know how to do it anymore. The knowledge has been lost. So Jonathan Strange, I think, would be a fun friend in there. He becomes a magician just because his wife says she won't marry him unless he has a profession. And he's like, well, I don't want to do anything. Like, find something. I kind of don't care. You just can't be idle. I just won't marry an idle man. And so he's like, a beggar on the street comes up to him and tells him, I say on the street, I think it's like in the countryside. But
I really thought that was going to be one of those, a beggar in the street.
He is a beggar from the street earlier in the book, but then he comes to Jonathan Strange and tells him, like, oh, yeah, I've foreseen this. Don't worry. Like, I have foreseen, and I will give you the ability, I'll give you knowledge to do, like, 2 spells if you pay me X amount of money. Like, well, I don't have a profession. And I have money. I might as well buy some spells off you. And then he goes home and he's like, well, I told you, wife, I'm going to find a profession. I'll be a magician. Like, are you serious? Rolls her eyes. Like, no, watch. Like, I bought these 2 spells off this gentleman. And he just performs it. Like, straight up performs it to the letter. And everyone is shook, as Casey says.
As I have said,
yes,
in my
she
life.
is not a thing.
More than us all the time. Casey constantly saying she's shook. It's lost all meaning. And then I don't want to spoil too much, but he loves his wife a lot, and it's very sweet how much he loves his wife. And
I'm going to read this now, and then also watch it.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, I watched the BBC miniseries. It's not that long. I think it's good. And then I guess lastly for contenders, I was thinking, well, I have 2 more, I guess. Elphaba from Wicked. Before she...
good one.
I was thinking her too.
The book, she's real different than the musical. It's a lot more political, the book. She's super jaded in the book. The book ends on much more negative note than the musical does. So I would have to say probably musical Elphaba would be a better friend. But lastly, Taco from TV. From the Adventure Zone.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good one.
Right? You know, Taco, you know, like from TV.
I know.
He's great at making food.
I'm so mad at myself.
He's great at baking.
Yeah. But he would be the flakiest best friend because he would just decide
At the beginning he is. He gets more and
True.
more responsibility and kind of keeps up with it. Like him and Angus. I don't know if I even said this. It's from
Ango, yeah.
the Adventure Zone podcast by the McElroy brothers and Dad. But Taco from TV. He's got fame. He knows how to dress well. He can hold his own when it comes against fighting. He's sassy. He's definitely down for shenanigans.
He's the best.
Oh, yeah. He knows how to make a mean macaroon.
And that is all I want. That is my favorite.
I know, you prize
that is literally my favorite
You
dessert.
prize
Like,
macaroon.
if it was between ice cream forever or macarons, I'm taking macarons. Give me those French cookies, baby. I'm sorry, I'll forsake ice cream in a heartbeat for those delicious French cookies.
What if I make you a macaron ice cream sandwich?
I would be down for it. I'm not going to say no. I'm just saying if it was between the two.
Well, no, I'm just saying,
I know
like,
what
I
what
then
camp I'm
become
in.
like the top tier in your life? Do I become the best of all of the best friends?
It's pop. Oh, food.
If there's like a
we all
best
know
chef
food
friend,
is the way to my heart.
A best chef friend. I guess my actual champion could kind of fit in that category as well a little bit.
yeah, true.
So we want
Good
to jump into
segue.
champions?
Yeah,
Sure.
go for it. I feel like you should go first.
So I picked Piper Halliwell from Charmed, the original run, not the current remake, which I am sure is wonderful. I just have not watched it yet. And spoilers for Charmed coming up.
It's gonna be spoilers for
for those-
everything. Sorry about that.
Right.
I should have
Yeah.
said that at the beginning.
Kind of just gotta.
Oops. For those who may not be aware, each of the 4 Halliwell sisters, well, it's not 4 Halliwell sisters, whatever, have a specific power. Piper is able to freeze objects, people, and demons. Warlocks, I think, too, and white lighters, but not witches. So, like, her and her sisters don't freeze when she does it, which I think her power is awesome.
Oh,
Her
yeah.
and her sisters, and like each individually, they could also cast spells and stuff from their Book of Shadows. They eventually learn how to write spells that always have to rhyme in a really cheesy 90s way that I love.
It's amazing.
And as a person, she would just be, yes, she already has like her 2 built-in best friends and her sisters. So there is that. But I have been friends with people who have 2 sisters. Like, my oldest friend has 2 sisters. She's the middle. No, she's the oldest.
Contrary to
But, like,
popular belief, they
I
can
just-
be friends.
They can't be friends with other
They
people.
are allowed to have more than one friend. That is fine.
Contrary to what the show would lead you to believe, they're allowed to have friends outside of their sisters.
Well, that's just because everyone else is, like, possibly killable.
Not possibly. In that show, they are.
Everyone is very killable in that you just have a little bit extra plot armor if you're a sister.
Right.
But it's only a
Fair.
little extra plot armor until you get
Very
into
little.
contract disputes. So
But as I sort of alluded to earlier, she's also a chef. And anybody who has spent any time with me or has read my bio on our website, bestfriendspodcast.com, bestfictionalfriendspodcast.com.
yeah, let's get that right.
Phew.
I'm new to this plugging stuff. Ah, jeepers. I love to cook. I love to eat. Piper starts off the show as a chef at the, I hope not fictional, but I'm sure it's fictional, San Francisco restaurant called Quake that has a slightly insensitive sign of like a cracked, after an earthquake. Whatever. But she's an excellent chef. She then decides to open up her own business when she can no longer like abide by her boss, and she opens up like the most busy club in all of San Francisco, and then opens up a restaurant after that, which honestly, if there was a career path I could choose, that sounds pretty awesome, although I'd like a bakery over a club, but free drinks are free drinks.
Right. You go where the money's at, man.
No, fair. Definitely in the alcohol. But as a person away from her magic, she does have that skill, which is what's like something that was important to me. And also, you could tell by the way she is with her sisters that she would just be there for you no matter what. Like, if you needed the magic, if you were about to spill a whole vat of like flour, she would stop things and make it so like you could just like slide a garbage can underneath it.
So she would also be freezing you, right? I didn't even think
okay.
about that.
But she can unfreeze you too.
Oh,
She
okay.
doesn't
She'd
have
be
to
on
freeze
freezy,
you.
yeah.
Okay,
As the show goes on, she gets more powerful and has abilities that blah 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 blah.
She could kind of
Cool.
craft it a little bit more. But I think that sort of how we were joking, or maybe we weren't joking, about Brittany hexing my exes, definitely a friend you'd want to have on your
Right.
side when getting into a new relationship. not just for her magical ability, but also because she would tell you straight what she saw, and if she didn't think that you guys should be together. So yeah. I think that's just a good trait to have in a friend, magic or not. Relevant story arcs. Well, she's a middle sister, which I think makes her, at least in the world of the show, a lot more level-headed. And despite being like the level-headed, driven sister that kind of like mediates everything, she is still willing to break some rules, which can be seen evidently through her relationship. She has to like go through this whole thing to marry her husband. Because he is her white later, which I'm not going to get into because I don't totally understand.
She's like a guardian angel that is assigned to witches, is what.
Right, but I don't understand like the whole white later overlords, like Big Brother society that is happening there. But you know,
I think the elders. Okay. I've seen Charmed. Charmed was something that I grew up with too, and that it's the elders are like the caretakers almost of magic of the world, and so they are trying to balance good and evil. They try to protect the good, obviously, and so they're the ones I think that assign white lighters to witches. Yeah, it just, a lot of it sounds very arbitrary. Oh, well, otherwise, where would the drama come from? How would there? No, that's 100% fair. Her Myers-Briggs, according to Tumblr, is ISFJ, which I suppose I agree with, especially the feeling and judgment aspect. She is the most cautious sister by nature, but she does have a little bit of that, or she has a lot of the feelings in which you could see when anytime her emotions get a little bit out of whack, or she's repressing something, her powers literally can cause something to explode, because she can either freeze particles or speed them up to the point where they go boom. Which, you know, don't mess those up. Yeah. It's like when people are shaving at the same time as brushing your teeth. Don't put the wrong one in your mouth. Don't. Who does I'm sorry. If you've never seen, that's like a thing on TV shows when guys are in a hurry trying to get ready for work. They're shaving real fast and they're brushing their teeth. And I'm just yeah, that stresses me out. Oh, this is just funny. She's born on August 7th, which means she is a Leo, which I guffawed when I read that because her husband's name is Leo. She has a huge heart, which is part of the whole Leo horoscope astrology thing, but she's not a show-off, which kind of like as we spoke about earlier, you don't really want a magical friend who's like a really big show-off. Right. So, you know, that's good. Sorting Hat, Hufflepuff, because I think loyalty would be her overriding characteristic. Probably. I could see that. Yeah. I could see her as as a Gryffindor as well. I think Prue would definitely be the Ravenclaw in all of it. Just because, I mean, she works at a museum. She's studious. Yeah. Not that you can't have more than one Ravenclaw in a family. I just think that out of the sisters, since there are 4 of them. Oh, if I think one was in each house. Yeah. I definitely would say that Piper would be the Hufflepuff. Right. Which is like really evident when her father comes to town after they haven't seen him for decades. And one sister is like overly romanticizing their father because she was like tiny when he left. The other one is super angry. And then Piper's just like, I will get to know you.
Prue, it's not that I don't see your point, but you knew him.
Lawful good. She does break a major rule in marrying her white lighter. But the way they go about it, they take all of the steps that are required. They jump through all of the hoops. They try to do it by the book. They try to do it as by the book as possible without giving up their love for each other. I think that would just make her, I think as a whole, she would be a really awesome friend to have. And I also have here that she opens the most packed club in San Francisco, all while battling the patriarchy and demons. Yeah, that's about that. So that was a very, she's got a full plate. Very important thing to add. Yeah, I have it bolded. All right. You want to go next, or you want me to?
I'll go.
You got this.
Thanks. So I picked Sabrina Spellman of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I'm talking Melissa Joan Hart version, not the new version. So sticking with the 90s theme, obviously. Not intentionally, just this is what happened. We just really like 90s characters, I guess.
Late 90s, early 2000s, yeah.
Right, yeah. So she is from a TV show mostly. There was like a movie too. I don't think I ever saw it, but I watched the entire TV show. I loved it growing up. And basically, she's a half witch. She learns on her 16th birthday, which is how the show kicks off. And on her dad's side, her dad's the witch in the family. And she lives with her 2 aunts who are amazing, and also a cat that's also... Anyways. He's got backstory, but it's like not important. Salem the cat.
That's true.
Like, I mean, I want to talk about him, but like, not relevant. So, but...
No, fair. Totally fair.
Right? Like, maybe for something else. Oh, I don't think he'd be a very good friend.
You'd be a terrible friend.
It'd be awful.
Right? But she goes to high school and then college later in the series. So she's got a few different like friends that you can kind of like see her interact with throughout the series. 2 different ones in high school, besides like Harvey, her main squeeze for most of it.
Her beau.
Yeah. And then 2 new ones for like college, but she's generally seen as like the very like bubbly, outgoing friend. And, you know, the magic doesn't hurt. As far as Meyer-Briggs, I was thinking ESFP. So definitely extroverted, but I think still feeling, perceiving. Yeah, I think she would be a Gryffindor, although it was kind of tough to pick for her. But I think that maybe bravery just barely beats out like the loyalty, friendliness nature of her. Like, I think that she does kind of like to get into things a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And then D&D alignment, I think neutral, good. I don't think she's quite lawful. She breaks the rules quite a bit, but not enough to be chaotic.
Yeah.
But yeah, a decent amount. And astrology, I've learned from her wiki page that she has.
Ooh. She has a birthday?
That she kind of. Well, yeah, she's got like 3. So it's like generally celebrated around like back to school time. So it's mostly accepted that September 2nd is her birthday because in 3 different seasons it matches up with that. However, on her passport, she's got a birthday in March, and on her driver's license, she's got a birthday in April. So it's...
she's just all over the place.
Yeah, and then I really liked the wiki page was like, so unless there's like different years in like the magical world, and I was like, oh, okay, like let's not get into this. So I'm going with September 2nd, making her a Virgo. Yeah, I fell down a rabbit hole for sure. Also, she talked about how she thinks, like Melissa Joan Hart talked about how she thinks that Sabrina would be a Gryffindor. But I don't think she fully understood the houses. Because she was like, Gryffindor's the good one, right?
She's a good person. Yeah,
she's like, I like Slytherin too, though, because that's the fun one, right? It's like, okay. I mean, those are things you could use to describe them, but I don't think they're exclusive of the other houses. Like, no other house can be fun or good. But, and also I found out that Daniel Radcliffe loved watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch growing up.
Who
so
didn't?
That's
we
fun.
All did. That's fun.
So that was, I think, the extent of the fun facts I found out in my rabbit hole of Sabrina the Teenage Witch knowledge. But yeah, overall, I think she's, like I said, bubbly, outgoing, which is like nice right away. It's like really easy to get to know her. But then also she tends to stand up for the little guy. She's like a big like supporter of the underdog. And like if she sees something going down, if she sees like the mean girl being mean to people, she's going to like step in no matter who it is, like friend or not, which is, I think, overall pretty good trait.
Yeah.
Oh, and she's got a portal to the magical realm in her linen closet. So that's pretty cool. A little terrifying at times, but pretty cool.
Okay, what happens when you're just trying to grab some dish towels and you're like, oh god.
You gotta go quick.
Yeah, in and out.
It takes like a good 5 seconds to get there, so if you can just like, in 5 seconds.
All right, so I finished up the theme of late 90s witches, and this where I also picked a witch and I picked Willow Rosenberg from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So Willow is one of the main cast from the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which aired 7 seasons from 1997 to 2003 on the WB network, and then later UPN. I don't remember when that switch happened. I was a little too young for that to really pay attention, so... But yeah, switched networks at one point. Played by Allison Hannigan, which you guys might know from How I Met Your Mother. But Willow is a young woman. At the beginning of the series, she's a sophomore in high school who befriends the title character, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who is the chosen warrior against evil supernatural forces. So the whole premise of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is that one woman every generation is chosen to fight the forces of evil. And Willow is just somebody that she was nice to, like, right away. So,
yeah.
Willow's best friend is Xander, and I think in the pilot she has another best friend where it's like a trio, but he gets spoilers, he gets killed real fast, so Buffy has room to jump in, and now there's a new trio that they call themselves the Scooby Gang, because they're always like getting into hijinks and always like investigating stuff. Overall, she's really intelligent. She is very introverted and quiet at the beginning, but she's very witty. She has a lot of like kind of sarcastic comebacks that I think are just so much funnier when she says it, because of how, I don't want to say naive, but how she delivers the lines a lot of the time is just like sweet, but what she's saying is really mean, where like I love it. It's such a great delivery for that. When it starts, she's really good at computers, and she's like their hacker, like I'm in the system person. And then as the show goes on, she realizes that she can do witchcraft and she has a talent for it, and then starts developing her magical abilities, practicing harder and harder spells to sometimes effectively, sometimes ineffectively, sometimes disastrously. That is now the whole point of the episode. Overall, she's very quiet at the beginning, but she gains more self-confidence. As we're talking about how to like frame more descriptions of her, her Myers-Briggs is INFP, known as the mediator. She's very idealistic. She tries to look for the good in events. She's wildly optimistic. I was reading an interview with Allison Hannigan where she was talking about how she wanted to portray Willow, and how Joss Whedon, the writer and creator of the series, wanted to portray Willow, was that she's very quiet, and even though like very introverted, but has a very colorful inner life that very introverted people have. It's not like you're just boring because no one's talking to you. It's you develop this very colorful, vivid, like, this is what's happening in my world. Like, I'm thinking about a lot of things all the time. Like, I have weird fantasies that I might tell you about if we're comfortable. Like, I like when they play a game, her and Buffy, like, Anywhere But Here. And they talk about, like, okay, what, anywhere but here, where would I, like, I'm going to be at a French bistro. And then who is in front of me? But I don't remember exactly what she says, but it's like Mark Wahlberg walks in, or like, I have no idea.
Because most of the people that they mention as being like super quote unquote hunky in the show may have been hunky in 1997, but for us, we just know them as like older gentlemen.
I don't even remember who they would talk about, like hubba.
The style back then. Oh my gosh. I'm like trying to get on their side, like about like, yeah, sure, he's hunky. And I'm like, right.
Like, his hair's so stringy. Stop.
Like, if I just look past the curtains of hair in front of his face, I can maybe see it.
I will say, because I've been watching quite a bit of Buffy to get ready for this, Giles definitely, like, rose in the rankings. I was going to include him as a contender, but then I was like, I do not want to bring up Buffy prior to what you're talking about.
Well, thank you.
But I do think Giles also deserves to be named as a contender, because honestly, if you need somebody to jump on research,
right,
that's your guy.
Yeah, he technically can do magic. He does do some magic throughout the series. So, talk about the Myers-Briggs. Myers-Briggs. I don't know if there's 2 S's.
I think there's 2 S's. Is there?
Nobody knows.
It's unknowable.
It's ineffable.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So I have her as INFP, mediator. So very idealistic, always looking for the good in the situation. Usually, she'll often be the source of like comedic optimism. I recommended an episode for Casey and Sarah to watch that I thought highlighted Willow. It's called Doppelgangland, where the premise is Willow, in an alternate reality, is a vampire, and she, in this reality, accidentally summons that alternate version of herself. Everyone else finds the vampire Willow and thinks that, oh no, Willow has died, and she runs in, like,
Jeez, who died? Oh God, who died?
Back! Get back, demon!
Willow, you're alive. Aren't I usually? Oh! I love you guys too. Okay, oxygen becoming an issue. Giles, what's going on with these?
Sorry,
It's really nice that you guys miss me. Say, you all didn't happen to do a bunch of drugs, did you?
It's just very sweet, very funny. But she is just kind of like that little light for most of the series of that sweet, innocent Willow. It does change. She has a dark arc as the season goes on, that I don't necessarily want to spoil too much, because I think Casey is actually like watching this in earnest now.
I believe I will be as well.
I love the writing, like their dialogue
also
is
Charmed.
just fun. Yeah,
just both of them.
I think I have watched all of Charmed in the past. I mean, I've watched all of Buffy before too.
I'd seen bits and pieces, and I'd seen bits and pieces of Buffy.
Yeah,
I've known like all the zeitgeisty stuff about Buffy for years, but I tried to watch the first season like in 2015, and I couldn't do it. And then when I had to, I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to commit. And I just watched and laughed through most of the first season.
Yeah,
and now I have stopped several times during the second season.
Vampire faces. Oh boy.
But they're not supposed to be likable. They're not supposed to be lovable.
No, I like that it's not like Twilight vampires. Yeah. But just like when it just goes from like human face to like vampire face, it's like, okay.
Like half of Buffy is supposed to be very heavy symbolism, where like animalistic controls, like abusive boyfriends is a big, like abusive relationships is a big theme. Redemption is a huge theme. The whole premise of them being high school on the Hellmouth is supposed to be, spoilers, high school is hell. Like, being in high school is like being in hell. It's miserable for everyone.
Well, that's kind of like the whole like magic, and Brittany, I know you and I have spoken about like vampires and witches being symbolic for a lot of the oppressed and marginalized people, especially sexuality, especially vampires and sexuality in a lot of like early Vampire Diaries novel. It's all about like, you know, the biting is the sex. Like it's you might as well, one is the same. Obviously Buffy and these shows, like sex is sex, but
also
biting
also,
is a very
sex,
this is sex, yeah. So I think, and just having like the coming out and all of that and how it was.
Yeah, so Willow on Buffy. In the beginning of the show, again, this is spoilers, very sorry. She is dating guys, and then she realizes she's bisexual, and I think she identifies as lesbian, because I also believe in the late 90s, early 2000s, bisexual wasn't really a thing people accepted.
They didn't understand.
You gotta pick one.
Yeah, they didn't understand like the spectrum.
Yeah, so it's like if you gotta be on one side of this line, one or the other, she decided, like, I guess I like girls. So yeah, a lot of it is about her figuring out herself. Like her discovery through magic is also her figuring out herself, being from this quiet, introverted, kind of overlooked person to being someone who has control over her own life, who can have control over other people's lives. And then it does spiral into chaos. So I'm going to skip for D&D alignment. She generally is neutral good, I would say. But there is like a whole story arc season where she kind of gets addicted to magic, like the rush she feels when she performs magic. So definitely chaotic at that point. Briefly chaotic evil for a story arc, but generally she's like a good person who genuinely cares for people and tries to help people. That's why she decided she got into like the best schools in the country and in the world. Like she was going to go to Oxford, but then decided not to because she wanted to stay in Sunnydale with Buffy so that she could practice magic and learn more about magic, and because she thought that's how she could best help people rather than just through learning. Back to like Harry Potter sorting, she's definitely a Ravenclaw. Yeah. Very heavy on being the studious person, being the tutor, learning as much as she can. Astrology, she is probably Cancer. I don't think she has a canonical birthday, but I found some random article in which they sort all of the Buffy characters by like astrology. Cancer is supposed to be very like calming, exists both in the emotional and material realms, highly intuitive with their psychic abilities. I don't know, I cut this straight from the article. It just seemed to fit. She's very caring, she's very intuitive about what's going on. She can pick up when people are upset, even though she sometimes erroneously thinks it's about something else. Which again is pretty comical, but she's always trying to help Buffy or to be a good friend to others. So yeah, those are, I guess, our three champions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
those are them. 3 90s witches.
Debate.
I have some thoughts on Sabrina.
Okay. Yeah, let's start on Sabrina. Let's gang up on her this time.
I'm ready.
I have some thoughts. Sabrina's life is built on gaslighting.
Oh my god, for real.
Which is something that, like, and here's the thing. To be fair to, I guess, this fictional witch and also to Sarah, I think it is something that is ingrained in her based on, A, the life that she's been forced to lead, and B, the formatting of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do think there would be a lot of unlearning and like discussions on honesty and not like manipulating people that would go into that friendship that I am not super down with, honestly. So I have a lot of thoughts about Sabrina in that regard that I just don't think Willow or Piper would have to go through that same unlearning process. Like Piper does freeze people without them knowing, and that is a form of, I guess, like minor gaslighting. But she's not constantly telling and then erasing their memories, basically.
Right.
Which is a lot
Willow
of
does
what Sabrina
that.
does.
That is literally one story arc for Willow before she becomes like evil Willow. She does. She promises she won't use magic for a week and then fucks up and then does do magic and then erases people's memories of the magic. Except it goes badly and she gives everyone amnesia because, of course.
Oh boy, okay.
So, yeah, and then she gets dumped because of it, because, like, That's rude. You don't gaslight people and you don't mess with their memories. Like, but so I mean, she learns from it, but
unless it's Harvey, in which case it's fine for most
forever.
Of it.
See, that's the thing. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, I think a lot of it is ingrained, and it is also a function of the show,
right?
It's
because for Piper and for Willow, there are consequences when they do shit like that. With Sabrina, it's just like, next episode, nobody's gonna know anything, and we're just gonna start from the beginning.
I think the toughest part for her, for like as being a friend, is purely the amount of rules she has to in her universe like abide by, having like the full magical realm that has like its own court system and like all this ridiculous nonsense. I think if she could just tell another person, like if you could be that friend that she could just tell and you could just know forever, then she'd be a great friend. However, like we did get to see her have a lot of friends that just like never, that's never the situation. Right. Or like they find out on Friday the 13th. With the one day that you can tell a mortal for some reason. And then they forget after.
Right. Every other Friday the 13th after, she's just like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Don't want to do that
Maybe
again.
she learned.
There has to be a way.
Also, her maturity. She's 16. I mean,
she
Willow
gets
is
better.
Willow starts at 16.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely leans into her being a teenage witch.
Right, which is
a super teenager for sure.
See, and I feel
very
like
much like
she's a PG teenager too.
Yeah, she's like teenager stereotype.
She was like the teenager that I was allowed to watch when I was 10 or 5 or whatever. Because I will say, I forget, it was like in 2nd grade or 1st grade or something. I was Sabrina the Teenage Witch for Halloween.
Aww.
So I had
baby
a witch's
Brittany.
hat. Yeah, baby Brittany had a witch's hat. And then I had like a witch's robe. But then also, for some reason, I had like a little kid outfit that I thought looked like something Sabrina would wear. So, you know how the intro is where she's like changing clothes a bunch of times?
Yeah.
Best intro.
That is what I did. Like,
and the fact that like every season they had like a new version of her just trying on clothes. Or,
that's
like,
all you do if
different
you have magic.
Outfits.
Why would you take the time?
The college one is just like her walking downstairs to another her in a different outfit. It's like
they're very
super cool.
fashion heavy.
Yeah, she was a fashion icon for sure.
I will say for between the 3 shows, secrecy and like hiding like one's true identity is big theme in all of it, which lends to the sexuality kind of thing as well. As well as, and this might just be because of the product of the time, fashion and girl power. Like, for some reason, like, fashion was a big thing.
Feminism in the 90s was very heavy on...
It was very performative, I felt like.
It was, yeah. We could get into that about feminism in a lot of areas.
Sabrina's college roommate, Roxy, is like the pinnacle of this conversation. Like,
right.
And I just think that like the feminism meets fashion in Charmed is no bras.
I'm not gonna lie, that makes me very mad that like you are a businesswoman. Why do I see your nipples? Like, I don't understand why I can see your nipples.
So
you work at a museum.
I was watching an episode like, for the first season before this. I mean, her body is art. I mean, you could say that. But she was wearing a sports bra, a sweater material sports bra under a sweater of the same color and texture. And I was just like, you shouldn't be getting fired because of this thing that you didn't do on purpose, but you should be getting like questioned for your outfit.
This is not business appropriate. Like,
oh, that was another thing I wanted to say about Piper. Out of all of the sisters, she is the one who dresses most business appropriate for her job.
She's the most conservative of the sisters, for sure.
Yeah. Doesn't run around with her boobs basically in her eyeballs. So there's that.
I will say
which, if you want to do that, fine. But it's just a very interesting spin on feminism in the time.
I get what they were trying to do. Like, like we can wear whatever we want and still fight crime. Like, okay, I guess. But, like, wear sensible shoes, you know?
I have
You're gonna get
thought about Buffy
Let's...
in a lot of her dresses. Not Willow so much, but, like,
No, Willow is very conservative. Like, Willow wears, like, there's a episode of Buffy where one Halloween they all turn into what their costumes are. Yeah, and so she's just like, Buffy dresses her, and she's wearing like tight skirt and like a tight shirt that's like open in the front, and like, oh no, I can't wear this. I can't let anyone wear this. So she just puts on a sheet, and she's like, I'll be a ghost. That's fine. I feel much more comfortable as a ghost. But then when everyone's costumes become real, she dies and becomes a ghost, but she's wearing what's underneath the ghost costume, which is her, like, quote-unquote slutty outfit. Yeah, sexy slutty. Because that's the time, like, on Halloween, you're allowed to, and it doesn't count. So...
Right. Everything's sexy on Halloween. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, Willow, for the most part, is pretty conservative, I guess, which I don't really care one way or another for that as a friend. Like, I don't really mind if you're very provocative.
Right. Whatever makes...
as long as it makes sense for the situation. If we're fighting evil, wear closed-toed shoes, okay? Let's do that.
Can you have an exposed midriff? Because that's basically all of Sabrina's outfits.
Everything in, yeah.
Literally every outfit. I think that, like, anything she wears would be considered, like, in style right now. I was, like, watching through, and I was like, this is literally, every outfit is, like, now.
I've been trying to think about things to debate about Willow, and I think it is just her meekness, which I think is a product of, like, the fact that I've only watched 26 out of 144 episodes.
Right.
So I understand where I'm coming from.
That's only one season if it's only 26. There's like 24 episodes a season.
There's 12 in the first season, and then I'm halfway through the second season.
Okay.
She
definitely gets way more outgoing.
I just got to that episode.
Ooh.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time crying the other day.
Aww.
But in those, like, first, like, 24 to 26 episodes, she seems like somebody who is very much working for others, which I guess is, like, would make a good friend, but she doesn't seem to have much going on her own.
I will say, when you get further, when she goes to college, that's actually sort of a minor, it's almost a Buffy plot point for her character, is that everyone, like, Willow starts coming into her own. She is in a place where people appreciate that she's smart. And actually, she's not being judged for the fact, well, we've all known each other since we were 6. And I remember when you puked on whatever. Like, she comes in not knowing very many people, and she's a good student. She knows a lot of things. She's finding the Wicca Club and trying to meet other witches and stuff like that. She gets more outgoing. She gets more confident. She gets very headstrong. And that leads to the whole fall of power from being a witch. But it happens. We've all had that feeling where, like, oh, I have the control of the universe at my fingertips. Ultimate power, ultimately
I will
corrupt.
say Piper does not get that way unless she has been infected by a nefarious foe, like a
and
Fury
that only
or
happens
a
like a few times a week. So
I think it happened 3 times in the entirety of the show's run.
There's an episode where she becomes like a god. She literally becomes a god, and they have to try to defeat some sort of evil before they become corrupted by their absolute powers. Because they're like, oh yeah, this is what happened. We actually did this before. Maybe you've heard of Mount Olympus and Zeus and those. We did this. They got wildly corrupted by the power we gave them after they defeated the evil, and then, ran a civilization into the ground at one point. But you won't do that. Don't do that. So, but that is, I think, the plot of multiple episodes where there's like a mini arc in Charmed. She's the mother goddess. She's the goddess of motherhood.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be a goddess, I guess, if you're a female with, at that point, she has like 2 or 3 kids.
I don't remember when.
I know she ends up with 3.
Because I know that's when it's not Prue. What's the other sister?
It's Paige, which I haven't watched much of that.
Paige becomes the goddess of war, and Phoebe becomes the goddess of love.
That also tracks. definitely tracks.
Piper is definitely the best of the three of them. She, I think, is the
Yeah.
least influenced by her weird power she gets.
I think she is the least corruptible, at least out of like for sure, which I think is important for somebody who has the ability to freeze you and like give you like cast a truth spell on you.
Yeah. I'm going to say Willow's going to be the best with the comebacks. Willow's going to be going to be pretty snappy, witty.
I mean,
when you want to have
Sabrina's
that fun
also
back and forth.
very much known for that. For witty banter.
Sabrina will say something and then everyone pauses for the laugh track and then they continue with like, I can't.
Well, sometimes there's a little back and forth, but only if they're on opposing sides. If it's like her and her friends, then like she gets last laugh. It's over now.
That's it.
I mean, she also gets last laugh when it's like against Libby, but like there's at least a little bit more like back and
Half
forth
the time,
first.
Libby walks away and then Sabrina will say something like ha ha ha, and it's
Homeschool high five.
Yeah. It's like Libby didn't hear that. Libby's not going to even remember any of this because you're going to erase everyone's
Libby's
memories.
main comeback
again.
is just, you're a freak.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
What a weird like word to choose to always call somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Donald Trump tactic. You find
I guess so.
This is your descriptor and this is what's going to catch on. You're going to be Sleepy Joe. You're going to be Freak Spellman.
Right.
Like, what's Valerie was a nerd.
Yeah, and I think Jenny was also a nerd.
The nerd is getting ditched.
The
by
worst
the
thing
freak.
to be in
like,
the whole
okay.
world.
And then when Libby becomes a nerd, she like takes over. There's a whole episode where Sabrina like turns her into a nerd and she like all of a sudden the nerds are the popular people. So it's just like in Libby to like do this.
So it's just like roughly
She is
2012.
conquering.
That's all it is.
Exactly.
Oh, Libby just has the power within her to draw people in and lead them. Because the episode, Sarah had us, gave us an episode to exemplify Sabrina's friendship. What was it called again?
To Tell a Mortal.
Okay. Yeah, so the premise was it's Friday the 13th. You're allowed to tell mortals. You're only allowed to tell one, but they can tell other people.
Yeah.
And after 24 hours, everyone who knows this knowledge will forget anything associated with it.
Except the fact that they have a broken hand and they are leaving your house trying to
If you
figure
have
out why they have a
physical-
broken hand.
Yeah, if you have physical damage to you, like, that doesn't change. It's just your memory of it is gone completely. But
That has to
Libby...
be so, like, that has to fuck you up so bad.
Well, no, yeah, that's why I'm also probably... I'm still not convinced on Sabrina being the best friend, even though I loved Sabrina as a kid.
I stand by, I would pick her if you got to know about.
But you never will.
Right, yeah.
Right.
You never will.
I conceded defeat like on the way into this because I really love your guys' picks. But I do want to say I would pick her if.
Oh, so once again, we do have somebody. We have Sarah.
We're gonna have a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll for sure be tiebreaker. I'm ready for it. I've been listening hard, taking my job very seriously.
All right. If Sarah's ready to vote,
Yeah.
I assume you guys are both voting for your respective.
Well,
honestly, I came into this thinking I might vote for Willow, but then I convinced myself during my argument that I want Piper as my best friend.
I also thought the same thing, that I could be convinced for Piper. I think I would like hanging out with Willow more.
Okay.
And I think I might get too jealous of Piper because Piper's magical ability, besides being able to cast spells, which is what we've decided is this category, is the ability to cast spells or charms or something. Just being able to immediately free somebody would be so useful. I just want to sleep like 10 more minutes. Okay. I get sleep for 10 more minutes with no repercussions. Like, that is amazing. Like, that would be so great. And the fact that I can't do that, I'd be like, oh, man, gotta throw it in my face constantly how awesome you are all the time.
But if she was using it, like, to help you, as opposed, because she can't really use it too much to help herself, because that's against the rules.
No, yeah.
She can help others she cares about.
I'm just afraid, knowing myself, I might get too jealous of that.
I mean, it's important to know oneself.
Yeah.
It is.
So true. So true.
All right, Sarah.
Yeah, vote.
I think I'm going to have to go with
way back.
2 for 2.
Yeah, I don't want to give Brittany a second win in a row when we have 2 episodes.
Oh,
but
it's 100% going to go to my head.
It's already there.
100% going to go to my head.
She
can
just
we give
seems
me a
like
crown?
such a fun friend.
No, honestly, Willow is like the best, but I also would.
She's so sweet. I think maybe if I had watched more of Willow, it was somebody like immediately I really liked. I think if I saw more of Piper, because I liked her more and more as I watched, but I think that the show is trying so much to like get you to know the 3 sisters right away, and I was like, I just need to watch Piper, please.
Right. There's very few episodes
I want to get to know Piper
that are just like Piper centric that aren't her as like a Wendigo.
Right.
And since it was like Buffy becoming friends with Willow like right away, it was like so easy to be like, you're meeting her as a potential friend just like Buffy is, whereas the other 3 they have like a existing history. So I think maybe if I'd watched more, then Piper could have gotten it.
That's fair.
But yeah, Willow just like out the gate was so cute.
I'll take it.
I was close to Piper though too. I will say that this was a very close second because before I decided on Willow, I was considering Piper.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yay me.
Yay,
again.
Brittany.
Happy times.
It'll never happen again.
Oh, yeah.
Just kidding.
It'll never. Okay. Yeah. We'll see until next time when I pick the best friend 3-peat. We'll see. Heard it here first.
Where else would they hear it? Other than our podcast, we're going to debate again next time.
My mommy might tell
Brittany's
them.
a real winner.
My mom.
So unless it's your brother or your dad, why would they hear it from her before they hear it from
She's
you?
personally calling everybody that listened to the first episode.
Exactly. She's the one who's still sending out letterhead stationaries. Well, I just want you all to know what's happening with the Weislers this year.
So thank you so much for listening, and please do let us know who you would pick for your magical best friend.
Yeah, let us know through commenting on the Instagram or tweeting at us directly. Both of those are podcast_BFF. So do your little @ sign, do your thing, talk to us there.
And if you want to show us your support in a more tangible, for us at least, way, you can find our Patreon at patreon.com/bestfictionalfriendspodcast. You could also just head to bestfictionalfriendspodcast.com and click donate there. We would
Brittany's got
love to hear from you. Yeah, Brittany has domains to pay for.
Oh, God, yeah. If you enjoyed this, please tell your friends, real or fictional, to check us out.
And it'd be super helpful if you could rate and review us on iTunes.
We'll be here to help you rationalize more of your real-life feelings for your fictional friends on Wednesday, October 7th. And it'll be spooky season.
So spooky. The
I'm
spookiest.
so excited.
Oh, me too. Real fast, I want to say I was disappointed that none of our witches from the 90s wore witchier clothes. I'm super excited for witchy autumn. So,
yes.
We're all going to be dressed up in theme, but you won't see it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think, I mean, I could wear like black, but I don't have a witch hat,
Oh,
unfortunately.
I'm probably going to wear my unicorn onesie, so not very spooky.
Casey's going the other way with it, but
Only at least spooky.
I think I'm the least spooky one here. Actually, no, Sarah. Definitely Sarah.
I'll try to get it together for October. I'll try to get my spookiness together. For best fictional friends. For best fictional friends, I'm Sarah.
I'm not Sarah. I'm Casey.
I'm Brittany, and I'll see you next time. All friends welcome. is really the like jock dumb.
I
have nothing going on up.
Oh my god, Harvey is an idiot.
Harvey